as the Vietnamese and the Malaysians are. This has an effect on the environment. Now, what the government is in the midst of doing, or trying to do, is basically altering the supply side and the demand side of the food equation, okay? As far as the supply side, we all know that, we're trying to ramp up productivity of rice from the mere 6 tons per hectare to what the Malaysians, the Thais, and the Vietnamese are doing. They're doing about 11 or 12 tons per hectare. And on the demand side, I think we've got to be very much more proactive in altering the behavior of people so that they don't continue consuming rice at 139 kilograms per kilograms per capita per year. And there have been a lot of steps in socializing this. Now, I do believe in the next few years, we will be able to significantly reduce the consumption of rice on a per capita per year basis, hopefully paring that of the Vietnamese and Thais. That to me is transformative. Now I think we can apply a lot of the same steps that we have taken in this type of mechanism to address the food security in our country for purposes of basically establishing a trajectory towards a green economy. And let us not underestimate the power of fiscal view-taking. And I think sooner rather than later, the government will realize that it can be an effective tool in shaping the behavior of people as to go by whatever we want them to go by for the better future of Indonesia. And I think that will happen. And that's basically part or the nuts and bolts of what he meant by the transformative, sequences going forward. I thought I should take a crack at it, but I'll leave the more difficult answer to Baraman.
Okay. Well, actually, I'd like to mention just one phenomena, which I happened to witness, was it yesterday, where the Indonesian Business Council for Sustainable Development was launched. That is a sign that the Indonesian businesses are well aware of, to answer the question that the distinguished participant has expressed. It will go from the bottom and up, and I think it will be appreciated by the President because he is very committed in achieving a low carbon growth together with yourself. So we have good news on both sides. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Adam.
Yes, sir.
For example, like our program, especially in Kalimantan Tengah, we try to inform, we try to socialize for our people in order to do not use a fire. Do not use the fire, and because up to now, they know exactly about how if we use the fire and become not good for environment and also not good for the health, their health, and they know exactly about the environment because we talk about the environment not only now, before we know exactly about the environment. We always use how to make more better our life, and that is why we are lucky as a pilot province, as a RED Plus implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's an excellent example of how down to the community and even individual level, everybody has a role to play. I don't want to, well, just, would you have a few final brief remarks for us?
Just that, it's maybe a bit of a cop-out, but you obviously need both. You need the top-down and the bottom-up to bring about transformational change. I mean, most of us live in democracies, right? And democracy, per definition, is bottom-up and top-down, bottom-up and top-down. That's a cycle. And we have to work within that, and that's how you bring about change. Now, transformational change requires usually some kind of combination of visionary leadership from the top, being able to frame what the challenge is and put in place a different framework for doing things, whether it's legal or it's the way you articulate what the political agenda is. But just as often, we see that, politicians only move when there is momentum from the voters or from the grassroots for change, like we saw in Egypt. So I think personally that the climate agenda will require both. There is too much inertia in societies around the world today, too much vested interest in established ways of doing business, that innovation and momentum from committed entrepreneurs who want to do things differently is not in itself enough. So you need a government that actually sets different rules of the game. Sometimes they will do that, but usually not without strong public pressure and support to make that happen. So you need that combination of factors, I think, to bring about true transformational change.
Great. Thank you very, very much. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of our time for this panel. It's a very important topic, but I'd like to ask all of you to join me in thanking our excellent speakers today.
Just before you all leave, I'd like to thank Adam in particular, who I know has been battling a cold, and so has been beyond the call of duty. Thank you very much indeed. Just before you leave, I imagine you're now going to your working groups. There are 5 working groups. You probably know which ones you're going to already. Could you please vacate this room quite rapidly, as there is a private session which will take place here quite soon. The working groups are really very, very important, because the outputs of those will then be put into a report which will be used at the end of the summit. So please do participate in those. And as a reward for all that, there will be drinks just outside here at 7 p.m. and a sit-down dinner at 7:30. Thank you very much indeed.